Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. Okay, so here's the thing. I used to be completely obsessed with the idea of marrying a military man. I was totally hung up on it. Then I got a do-over, a second chance at life, waking up back in my 20s. I thought, nope, not doing that again. This time, I decided my sister Clara could have that whole drama. I was going to make sure Mark, the soldier, ended up happy with her. This time around, I was the one helping them get together. I gave Clara the wedding dress. I slipped the engagement ring on her finger. I was the ultimate wingwoman, setting up all their little dates. He whisked Clara off to the capital, and I, without a second thought, headed to the bustling city of Sunhaven to study. You see, in my previous life I was in my 50s, ancient, and Mark and my own son were practically begging me to get a divorce so he could finally be with Clara, his supposed true destiny. Seriously. So yeah, this rebirth was all about me flying solo, soaring high, and leaving all that romantic nonsense behind. Just fill it out and hand it in, Mark said, tapping the desk impatiently. He was practically vibrating with the need to be somewhere else. I stared at that marriage application, my fingers tracing the rough edges of the paper. My mind was everywhere. In my last life, I'd scribbled my name on that form like it was some holy contract. Then I'd practically dragged Mark, all giddy, to buy wedding candy. And what did I get from my enthusiasm? A lecture. Because of course, he needed to rush back and make Clara, who conveniently had her period, some brown sugar water. Classic, I mumbled. Yeah, I got it. I glanced up. He looked so impatient, constantly checking his watch. He was wearing a white shirt, sleeves rolled up, showing off those forearms. I remembered Clara loved that look. She said it made him look clean and fresh. You go ahead if you're busy, I said, trying to sound casual, shoving down the bitterness. I'll submit it when I'm done. He looked relieved, his voice softening a bit. Don't worry, since we're getting married, I'll take responsibility for you, he said, like that was some huge favor. But you shouldn't be jealous of Clara anymore. If others find out, it'll be bad for her reputation. I just stayed quiet. I'd explained this a million times before, but to him, I was always the jealous, petty older sister, unable to handle her sweet, fragile younger sibling. He didn't say anything else, just rushed off. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside. But my mind kept replaying it all like a broken record. Our wedding night, he made up some excuse about Clara being sick and didn't come home. The army trips, he'd only take Clara, saying she'd never been to the capital. Even when our son was born, Mark wasn't there, too busy comforting a divorced Clara. And right before he died, our son was whispering in my ear, "Mom just divorced Dad. You're nothing compared to Aunt Clara. Dad has suffered so much staying with you all these years. Let him go." I just looked at my distant, indifferent husband by his deathbed. Silent, that silence pretty much sealed the deal for him. I guess I bit my lip hard until I tasted blood. Then I slowly let go. No, not this time. I wasn't making that mistake again. I picked up the pen and slowly, deliberately wrote a name on the applicant line. Clara Mark. You love her that much? Have her. I handed the completed form to the clerk, grabbed the marriage certificate, and walked out. I wasn't sad. Honestly, I felt free. It was like a weight had lifted. In my past life, after our folks died on the job, Clara and I were adopted by the Miller family. Clara was a charmer, all sweet talk and smiles, so the Millers treated her better than their own kid. Mrs. Miller had been plotting for years to marry Clara off to Mark. But Clara, with a simple, "I don't want to compete with my sister," made Mark willingly marry me. The truth? She just wanted to keep him on the hook. Back then, Mark was just a company commander. She was holding out for a bigger fish. I went to the university, figured out all the prep stuff for starting classes, checked out living expenses, the whole 9 yards. Then, feeling pretty good, I headed back to Mark's family quarters. The second I walked in, I heard Clara's voice, all playful. "Mark, if you came back to be with me instead of your sister, would she get mad?" "It's fine," Mark said. "I can visit her anytime, but every time you come, you always get so close to her. I'm worried about you being alone at home." Clara giggled, then feigning sadness said, "After you and my sister get married, will you still be good to me?" "Of course," Mark said, all firm and serious. "Who else would I be good to if not you? If your sister treats you badly, I'll divorce her." I clenched my fist so hard I almost lost it. So even in a new life, hearing my husband say that kind of crap still hurt. I took a deep breath, calmed myself down, and walked in like nothing was wrong. Mark came out of Clara's room looking a little awkward. I just saw that Clara wasn't feeling well, so I went in to check on her. I just gave a little and turned to go to my room. In my past life, I'd fought with him, screamed at him countless times over his blurriness with them. This time, I just didn't have the energy. He stopped me. Anna, how about we buy some wedding candies and give them out to the wives in the staff quarters? I looked at him surprised. Then I figured it out. He was probably trying to make it up to me since I wasn't causing a scene. No need. There's no point in these formalities. He was stunned for a second, probably couldn't believe I'd actually turned down the idea. Is it because you're upset that Mark is taking care of me? Clara walked out, looking all wronged and innocent. She was wearing the linen suit, the outfit I'd specifically bought for our wedding photos. It was the thing to wear in the 1950s. I'd saved up for half a year to buy it in my previous life, but I'd never had the guts to wear it. Seeing me looking, Clara quickly explained, I saw this outfit on your bed today and I liked it, so I wanted to try it. I forgot to take it off. She lowered her head, fiddling with her fingers like a kid caught doing something wrong. Mark instinctively started to say, Anna, don't. I cut him off, my voice calm. It looks good on you, so you can keep it. I never wore it anyway. I could still smell the faint scent of blood and sweat on that suit, the memory of running home crying in the middle of the night. It felt disgusting even now. They were both staring at me, surprised. I went back to my room and locked the door. I pulled out my folder. Inside was my acceptance letter from Sun Haven University. I'd always loved the South, and the finance program there was exactly what I wanted. In my past life, I'd given up my education for Mark, happy to stay home and be the perfect housewife. This time I was lucky enough to have a chance to live for myself. I looked at the calendar. Only 10 days left until I could leave this place. Time was tight, but I had to make every second count. A knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. I opened it, annoyed. It was Mark holding a bowl of noodles, his voice gentle. You must be hungry. I made you some noodles. For a second, I felt this weird nostalgia. In my past life, he was either cold and distant or harsh. This warm, caring Mark I hadn't seen in forever. No thanks, I ate outside. Impossible, he said. You've always been too stingy to spend money. His words stung. I used to be stingy, saving every penny, spending most of my part-time earnings on him, buying him things. But now, about to start university, I had way more expenses to think about. Every penny had to be counted. I looked up at him, my voice calm. I remember a few days ago I gave you 50 yuan to buy wedding supplies. Seems you didn't buy anything. Please return it to me. He froze, then awkwardly explained. That money? I used it to buy Clara some little leather shoes. I couldn't help but sneer. It was so meaningless. Always the same story. Well, never mind. I'm going to bed, I said, closing the door. I'll give you the money tomorrow, he added, a hint of irritation in his voice. We're married. Do you really need to be so calculating? I couldn't help but snort. So it's okay for you to spend my hard-earned money on someone else, and I'm not even allowed to be upset about it? He knew he was wrong but still muttered, unreasonable. I didn't bother arguing anymore and slammed the door. The next few days I sold off some of the junk around the house. Those keepsakes from my previous life, full of memories. Looking at them now, they were just cheap crap. I packed it all up and sold it to a scrap collector for a little cash. In the afternoon, I was still packing when Mark showed up, holding 50 yuan. He spoke stiffly. Here's your money. I took the money and nodded. Thank you. He looked at me, a complicated expression on his face, his gaze drifting to the suitcase I was packing. I plan to have Clara go with me to the capital with the army first. You don't need to keep packing. I didn't stop packing and nodded. He seemed a little uneasy with my attitude. Unsure how to handle it. What's wrong with you lately? You're like a different person. I turned my head impatiently. I didn't want to get into it. Although Mark didn't love me, if he found out that Clara's name was on the marriage application, he might just renew our marriage for her sake. I had no intention of getting involved with that pair of scoundrels again. It's nothing, I just want to pack my things, I said. When you go to the capital, I'll I'll move back to the countryside. He sighed in relief and explained, "It's not that I'm not letting you go with me, it's just that Clara has never been to the capital and she wants to see it. I'll come get you in a few months." I nodded absent-mindedly. In my past life, he never came to get me for 8 years. It wasn't until Clara married some big-shot division commander that he finally, out of frustration, took me to the capital. He seemed uncomfortable with me now. Since I usually chattered on whenever we were alone, now I barely spoke and he was getting restless. "You've always wanted to take wedding photos, right? Let's go to the photo studio tomorrow." That wouldn't work. Tomorrow I plan to go buy supplies for university. Just as I was thinking of an excuse, Clara walked in, snuggling up to Mark's arm. "Mark, what photo studio? I want to take photos too." Mark smiled and ruffled Clara's hair. "All right, let's go tomorrow. You two go ahead. I have something to do tomorrow," I said. Mark frowned. What could be more important than taking wedding photos? "Go ahead and take the photos. I'll go with you to buy things afterward." His tone was firm, like it was a done deal. Clara pouted. "Are you not going because of me?" I didn't want to argue, so I just nodded, agreeing to go. Early the next morning, I heard Mark in Clara's room coaxing her to get up. The bright red numbers on the calendar reminded me there were only 4 days left. In 4 days I'd finally be free. Just when I was getting really impatient, they slowly came out. Mark, ever the gentleman, had prepared hot water and was personally washing Clara's face. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind in my previous life, thinking that if I married him, he'd treat me that way. I was lost in thought when Mark awkwardly walked over holding a ring. "The neighbor said it's trendy to wear wedding rings now. I bought one for you." I didn't take it. In my past life there was no ring. As soon as Clara saw it, she pouted. "It's so pretty. I want one too." I generously offered. "You can have it." Mark's face immediately darkened. "Stop joking. This is our wedding ring." Clara snatched the ring, slid it onto her finger, and waved it in front of Mark. "Mark, does it look good on me?" Mark looked at Clara, his eyes full of affection, and smiled foolishly, nodding. Then he turned to me a little guilty and whispered, "I'll buy you one next time." I nodded indifferently. I'd heard his promises before, and he never kept them. At the photo studio, Clara took the first set of photos, including several couple shots. When it was my turn with Mark, the photographer raised his camera. Awkwardly, I lowered it. "Sorry, the film is used up," he said. Inside, I was relieved, but I kept a neutral expression. "Oh, that's fine," I replied. After we left, Mark pulled out a train ticket and handed it to me. "A seat to the capital 4 days from now." "I didn't mean to leave you behind," he said. "I'll go ahead to settle in, and I'll be waiting for you in the capital. It takes 3 days and nights to get to the capital from here." And I didn't understand how he thought I'd manage. Also, there's only one slot for a military spouse. Where would he have me stay? But asking now wouldn't yield a satisfying answer. When I accepted the ticket, Mark visibly relaxed. "Don't worry, even if you don't stay in the military compound, you're still my only wife," he said. "I'll treat you well. I just consider Clara as a sister." I softened a bit. How long had it been since I'd heard him speak so gently? Suddenly, a truck came around the corner, speeding right at us. Mark pulled Clara into his arms and dodged. In the chaos, I was pushed. I froze, unable to move as the car barreled toward me. It swerved at the last second, hitting me and dragging me along. Pain exploded through me. I felt dizzy, cold sweat beading on my forehead. The driver jumped out, stammering, "Miss, are you okay?" A crowd gathered, pointing and murmuring. My gaze cut through them, locking onto Mark. He was comforting Clara, completely unaware of what had happened to me, or maybe he noticed and just didn't care. I smiled bitterly. The last shred of hesitation in my heart vanished. So this was what he meant by, "I'll treat you well in the future." The driver took me to the hospital. After a bunch of tests, they said it was just superficial wounds and some minor internal displacement. Lying in the hospital bed, my body ached, but my mind was strangely calm. Late that night, Mark came in looking exhausted. When he saw I was awake, he looked flustered. "Anna, how are you feeling? Is it better?" I gave him a cold look but said nothing. He rubbed his hands together, uneasy, and started explaining. Clara was a bit too scared, and I was with her the whole time. So under my gaze, he awkwardly fell silent. Anna, listen to me. The situation was urgent. Clara was closer to me, so I instinctively. He paused, seemingly trying to find the right words. I didn't know you were going to get hit. I interrupted him. Are you going to the capital? He hesitated. Tomorrow. All right. I need to rest. You can go now. I closed my eyes, signaling I wanted to be alone. Mark seemed like he wanted to say more but finally left, sensing my discomfort. The next day Mrs. Miller came. She brought a thermos and a big smile. Anna, Mark asked me to come take care of you. How are you feeling? Much better, thank you, Mom. As she served me soup, she chattered on. Mark, that boy, he's so careless. I wonder if he'll be able to take care of Clara properly. She stopped midway, as if suddenly realizing something, and awkwardly fell silent. Mom, actually, it's Clara who married Mark. Mrs. Miller froze. After a long pause, she finally reacted. What? What? Did you say I submitted Clara's name on the marriage application? Mrs. Miller was first stunned. Then her face lit up with joy. Anna, you're such a good child. I knew you were the most sensible. She excitedly grasped my hand. Anna, thank you. Thank you for making this possible for them. I smiled faintly but said nothing. Chapter 5 continued. Honest intentions. Helping you? No, it was helping myself. She was always partial to Clara, even in the past. No matter how hard I tried to be a good daughter-in-law, she still left all her inheritance to Clara. Mom, don't tell Mark or Clara about this yet. Mrs. Miller grinned from ear to ear. All right, Mom understands. Then what are your plans for the future? In a few days I'll be leaving, I said, not revealing my destination. Mrs. Miller wanted to ask more, her mind clearly buzzing with their marriage drama. I closed my eyes, pretending to fall asleep. The day I was discharged, I didn't tell anyone. Before I left, I wrote a letter to Mark. Mark, by the time you read this, I'll be on a train heading south. I know you've always loved Clara, and I'm letting you two be together. Our fate is over. I wish you both happiness. I sealed the letter along with the Beijing train ticket and our original marriage certificate, the one with Clara's name, and mailed it to him in the capital. I dragged my suitcase to the train station. The air in Sunhaven was humid and warm, and standing in front of the university campus, I felt dazed. Walking through the campus gates, it felt like a new life was beginning. During the day, I'd sit in class soaking up knowledge. At night, I worked at a little restaurant, serving food and washing dishes, aching all over from exhaustion. But this exhaustion felt grounding. A month later, I had pretty much settled into this busy but fulfilling life. Then one day I saw Mark downstairs at the dormitory. Anna, why did you do this? He demanded. Why did you put Clara's name on the marriage application? Why didn't you go to the capital? His voice was full of anger and confusion. I looked at him coldly. I don't want to live with someone else's husband. In my heart, it's disgusting, unbearable. He stared at me, disbelief all over his face. How can you say such things? You weren't like this before. I turned away, my stomach turning, nausea rising. I didn't want to look at him, not for another second. Mark, I just want to focus on my studies and start a new life. Clara's the one you've always wanted, right? You two should cherish each other. Please don't disturb me anymore. He angrily ran his hands through his hair. What nonsense are you talking about? I've always treated Clara like a sister. I sneered. What kind of siblings hug each other and steal kisses? I'd once caught him kissing a sleeping Clara. That tender look on his face I'd never forget. His face flashed with shame, but then he got furious. Anna, stop spouting nonsense. Me and Clara are completely innocent. The sibling love you talk about is disgusting to me. Let me go and let yourself go. His face turned dark, but he didn't know what to say. I remembered when I first arrived at the Miller family as a child. The fear of being reliant on others made me too afraid to even eat my fill. One night I snuck out to eat some leaves in the garden, and Mark caught me. He had given me his share of a snack and comforted me. Anna, don't be afraid. I'll protect you from now on. That warmth back then is what made me slowly fall for him. That is why in my past life, even though I knew Mark didn't love me at first, I still agreed to marry him. In the following days, Mark continued to linger around the school. I deliberately avoided him, not wanting any further entanglement. But I didn't expect him to go to the principal and demand my expulsion. When I was called to the principal's office, Mark was sitting stiffly. I was furious. "Mark, what do you think you're doing? Why are you asking for my expulsion? I want you to come back with me." He stood up, walking toward me, reaching out to take my hand. I quickly stepped back, avoiding his touch. Go back. Go back and continue watching you and Clara being all lovey-dovey." His expression froze, and then he angrily retorted, "Anna, don't be ridiculous. We're still married. How is it right for you to run off to the south and stay away from me like this?" I almost couldn't hold back my laughter at his shamelessness. "Mark, your wife is Clara. The marriage certificate has her name on it, and the person you're thinking of is also her." His face darkened, gritting his teeth. "That was a mistake. Mistakes should be corrected. My past behavior made you misunderstand. I won't act like that anymore." My heart sank. These familiar lines, he'd said them in my previous life too. And what happened? He went right back to being all sweet with Clara. I turned to the principal and spoke earnestly. "Principal, I really want to continue studying here. Please don't expel me." The principal looked at me, then at Mark, and after a brief pause he said, "Mr. Miller, since you have no relationship with Anna, you are not authorized to handle her expulsion." I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Mark wanted to say something, but the principal interrupted. "Mr. Miller, if there's nothing else, please leave. I have work to do." In the following days, as Mark continued to haunt me, I was exhausted, and my studies were suffering. What made things even more troublesome was that Clara showed up. "Mark, please let's go back and get a divorce. I don't want this. I don't want to steal my sister's husband. I'm a bad person." She tugged at Mark's sleeve, crying hysterically. Mark, his heart aching, pulled her into his arms and gently patted her back. "Clara, don't cry. It's not your fault. We'll go back right away. It's my fault for making you suffer." Clara, looking pitiful, pretended to kneel down. "Sister, I'm sorry. Please don't be angry with Mark. I know it was a misunderstanding between Mark and me. Don't kneel. It's my fault for making you suffer. We'll go back now." As she said this, she shot me a glare, her eyes full of accusation. A crowd of students had gathered, whispering and pointing. I couldn't stand to watch this farce anymore, so I turned and left. If they wanted to put on a show, let them. I wasn't going to be part of it. Clara definitely had some pull. Mark didn't come back that day. I threw myself into my studies and joined the school's math club. That's where I met Leo. He was tall, thin, wore black-rimmed glasses, and had this sunny smile. He was really good at math and often helped me out, so we got pretty close. Just when I thought things were finally settling down, Mark's letters started arriving one after another, relentless. "Anna, are you still angry with me? I know I was wrong. Come back, Anna. Clara is pregnant. The child is mine. I know it's hard for you to accept, but please believe me. You're the only one in my heart. Anna, there should be a limit to your anger. What do I need to do for you to forgive me?" I tore his letters into pieces and threw them in the trash. I didn't know what made him think I'd changed my mind. Maybe he was just that thick-skinned. The smell of oil and smoke filled the air at the part-time restaurant as I quickly cleaned the tables. I looked up and saw Leo sitting in the corner. He smiled at me. I quickly looked away and continued working. After my shift, he was still there, several untouched dishes in front of him. "Come eat with me." He gestured to the seat across from him. "I've already eaten." I tried to decline, but my stomach betrayed me with a loud growl. He chuckled softly. "Don't be shy, come sit down." Unable to resist, I sat down. A clay pot filled with hot soup bubbled away, the warmth chasing away the chill. I dug in, not caring about my image. "Slow down. No one's going to steal your food." Halfway through, I felt an itch on my nose. I looked up and saw Leo smiling, holding a grain of rice. "Do you want to eat my face too?" he teased. I blushed, quickly lowering my head. I knew he liked me. His eyes made it very clear. But right now, all I wanted was to focus on school. Everything else could wait. Winter break arrived, and Mrs. Miller called, urging me to come home for the new year. After all, they had raised me. I couldn't be completely heartless. After thinking it over, I bought a ticket and, carrying a bag full of gifts, returned to East City. As soon as I walked in, I heard a sharp voice yelling, "Mark, what's going on? I'm telling you, I'm pregnant with your child. I'm not here to be mistreated." I froze. It was Clara, her belly swollen, shouting at Mark. Mark's face was pale, but he didn't dare argue. He could only try to soothe her. "Clara, calm down. The doctor said you can't get too emotional. It's bad for the baby. I want that coat. Go buy it for me right now. Clara, I'll get it for you next time, okay? This month's allowance is all gone." Mark carefully helped Clara sit down. "You're useless, still just a lieutenant colonel, and you're not even giving your sister the money." Mark's expression darkened. "Clara, stop talking nonsense. I've already cut ties with her." "Cut ties? You think I'm stupid? Write to her every now and then. You think I don't know? You don't have me in your heart at all. All you think about is her." Clara cried and screamed, pounding her fists against Mark's chest. Mark, looking impatient, said, "I told you I didn't do anything." I stood at the door watching this, feeling nothing but absurdity and a little bit of laughter. In my past life, he hid his contact with Clara from me. In this life, he was hiding his letters to me from Clara. In the end, he was just a guy who wanted it all, never truly loyal. Mrs. Miller was the first to notice me. "Anna, you're back. Come help talk to Clara. Her temper is getting worse." She grabbed my hand, her tone almost pleading. I pulled my hand back and said indifferently, "I'm tired. I'll go rest in my room first." Mrs. Miller froze but didn't say anything. She turned and continued to coax Clara. She was so different from the overbearing woman I remembered. Back in my room, I dug out the New Year's gift Leo had given me, a red cashmere scarf. I wrapped it around my neck, glanced at myself in the mirror, and a smile crept onto my face without me even realizing it. That evening, there was a knock on the door. I opened it to find Mark looking haggard and uneasy. "Anna, can we talk?" I stepped aside to let him in. He rubbed his hands together, gathering courage. "Anna, the wife I've always wanted is you. I've been waiting for you. Clara's temper is getting worse, and she's spending money recklessly." I couldn't help but scoff. "Waiting for me? Mark, do you even believe your own words? You've been waiting for me while letting Clara get pregnant with your child. What exactly do you think I am?" His face flushed red, his eyes full of panic. "Anna, let me explain." I cut him off. "There's nothing to explain. You and Clara already have a child. What else is there to say? I wish you both a happy life and an early arrival of your child." He was silent for a few seconds, as though recalling something. "I've been having dreams lately, dreams where the woman I marry is you. You're gentle and virtuous, always taking care of my parents back in the old house." He paused, his tone tinged with pain. "But in the dream, my heart belongs to Clara. I neglected you, hurt you. I'm such a jerk. And then my son and I were pressuring you to divorce." I was shocked. He actually dreamed of our past lives. He covered his face in distress. "I'm sorry for how I treated you then. I want to make it up to you." Suppressing my fury, I spoke coldly. "If you really want to make up for it, then go live your life with Clara. Stop coming to bother me. It'll be better for both of us." His gaze dimmed, and there was a trace of reluctance in his voice. "But I still feel like you should be my wife." My patience finally snapped. "Mark, it's time for you to go. These aren't the words you should be saying, nor the place you should be." He stood up despondently and walked out, his steps heavy. I watched his retreating back, feeling nothing. In both lives, he'd always wavered, wanting both women, greedy. The next morning, I packed my things and knocked on Mrs. Miller's door. I handed her a bank card, saying calmly, "Thank you for taking care of me all these years. This card contains the money I've saved over the years. Consider it my way of repaying your kindness." Mrs. Miller froze, trying to refuse. "Anna, this really isn't necessary," she said. "Take it," I said, lifting my luggage. "I've got some things to handle at school, so I'm leaving now." Without looking back, I walked out, feeling no attachment. At the ticket window, the line was long. When it was finally my turn, there were no more tickets to Sun Haven. The next available ticket was for the day after tomorrow. Frustrated, I ran my fingers through my hair. Where was I supposed to go? I couldn't sleep on the streets, could I? Just as I was feeling lost, Leo appeared carrying bags. Anna! His face lit up with surprise. I was surprised too. Leo, what a coincidence. Are you from East City too? Yes, he replied. And you? Do you have nowhere to go? His tone was full of concern. Then how about you come spend the new year at my place? I froze, then quickly waved my hands. I couldn't possibly. He smiled. What's the big deal? It's just me and my grandma at home. It's pretty quiet. You'll liven things up a bit. Plus, I can't leave you alone during the new year. I'd be worried. He paused, then added, Please, Anna, think of it as keeping my lonely grandma company. She's all alone at home, and it's so boring for her. He put on this pitiful expression, and I couldn't help but laugh. Unable to refuse, I finally agreed. As soon as I stepped out of the station, a cold breeze hit me. I pulled my coat tighter. Seeing this, Leo immediately took off his coat and draped it over my shoulders. A faint woody fragrance lingered. Cold, isn't it? East City is much colder than Sun Haven, he said. I shook my head, but a warm feeling surged in my heart. Leo's home was in the old district, a quaint 2-story house. The second we entered the yard, the smell of dumplings filled the air. An elderly woman with silver hair stood at the kitchen door, smiling. Leo, you're back. Her gaze fell on me and she smiled brightly. Well, looks like you've brought home a beautiful lady this year. I blushed, lowering my head. Grandma, this is Anna, my friend, Leo introduced. Good. Come in and warm up. Grandma Leo was busy cooking dumplings while Leo helped to carry my luggage to the guest room. The guest room wasn't big, but it was clean and tidy. The bedding smelled of sunshine. You rest for a while, the dumplings will be ready soon, Leo said gently, setting down the suitcase. I nodded and sat on the edge of the bed, gazing out at the falling snow. A sense of peace like never before filled my heart. Maybe this was what it felt like to be home. That evening, we sat around the table eating steaming dumplings. Anna, you should come here often. You're always welcome at my place, she said warmly. I smiled and nodded, my heart full of warmth. After dinner, Leo suggested we take a walk in the nearby park. It was almost deserted in the winter, with only a few couples huddled together, enjoying the rare tranquility. We walked slowly along the lake, neither of us speaking. The snow fell softly, covering us like a thin white blanket. Thank you, Leo. I broke the silence, my voice soft. Thank me for what? Thank you for taking me in, for giving me a warm place to stay. Leo looked at me and teased. Then how about you show your gratitude by becoming my girlfriend? I froze for a moment, then playfully snorted. Dream on, though, I said. A slight ripple went through my heart. Then tell me, how should you repay me? After all, I'm the hero who rescued you from the troubled waters of the station, he said, exaggerating dramatically. I couldn't help but laugh at his theatrics and feigned seriousness. A hero? I think you're trying to extort me, I said, pretending to scold him. He pretended to think for a moment, then with great seriousness said, Let me think. How about you cook for me every day until school starts? I couldn't help but roll my eyes. You wish. My cooking is nothing special. He smiled, looking at me with twinkling eyes. No worries, I'm not picky. And even if your cooking's bad, I'll eat it all, he added. His cheeky attitude made me laugh in spite of myself. Is this how you show gratitude? It looks more like you're trying to take advantage of me. Looks like my charm isn't enough. He sighed dramatically, then suddenly leaned in closer. Then maybe I should try harder. I felt my cheeks flush and quickly stepped back. You don't get any ideas. Seeing me flustered, he couldn't help but laugh. Just kidding, he said, reaching out to gently ruffle my hair. Let's go back. Grandma must be worried. Back at Leo's house, Grandma Leo had already prepared hot ginger soup, saying it would help ward off the cold. I held the ginger soup, savoring the warmth, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope for the future. Maybe letting go of the past and starting over wasn't such a bad thing after all. On New Year's Eve, the sky outside was ablaze with brilliant fireworks, illuminating the entire night. The deafening sound of firecrackers echoed. I stood by the window, and for a moment, I felt like I was in a different world. Happy New Year, Anna! He was standing very close, and his warm breath brushed against my ear, sending a shiver through me. I turned and met his deep gaze. In that instant, time seemed to stop, and my heart skipped a beat. "Happy New Year, Leo," I whispered back. He leaned in closer, his voice soft. "I like you, Anna." Outside, the fireworks continued to explode, their dazzling colors reflected on my face and on Leo's. In that dazzling, shimmering light, I finally saw my own reflection in his eyes, and I nodded very, very gently. After the new year, Leo and I returned to Sun Haven together. Our relationship was different now, a subtle but definite shift. We held hands walking across campus, ate lunch together in the cafeteria, and studied side by side in the library. It all felt surprisingly natural. One day, as we were leaving the library, I saw a familiar figure standing under a tree. Mark. He looked thinner, even more haggard than before, his eyes bloodshot. He saw us, and his gaze locked onto mine. "Anna," he said, his voice hoarse. "Can we talk?" Leo squeezed my hand, a silent reassurance. I shook my head. "There's nothing to talk about, Mark." "But I need to explain." He looked desperate. "Clara," I cut him off. "Whatever happened between you and Clara is your business. It has nothing to do with me." He stepped closer, his voice pleading. "She lost the baby and she left. She said she couldn't face me anymore." I felt a flicker of something. Not sympathy exactly, maybe a faint echo of the past, but it was quickly replaced by cold indifference. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, my voice flat. "But it doesn't change anything." He looked utterly defeated. "But I thought you still cared." "I did care, Mark," I said, my voice finally cracking a little. "For a long time I cared, but you threw that away. You chose Clara over and over again. You made your choice." He opened his mouth to speak, but I held up a hand. "Don't. Just go, please." He stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked away, shoulders slumped. Leo put his arm around me, and we walked away in silence. That night I couldn't sleep. Seeing Mark had stirred up old feelings, old hurts. I got out of bed and went to the window, looking out at the quiet campus. Leo found me there. He didn't say anything, just wrapped a blanket around me and held me close. "It's okay," he whispered. "It's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling." And in his arms I finally let myself cry. I cried for the lost love, for the wasted years, for the woman I used to be, and I cried for the future, a future that was finally truly my own. Life went on. I excelled in my studies, graduating at the top of my class. Leo and I stayed together, our relationship deepening with each passing year. He was patient, kind, understanding. Everything Mark wasn't. We got married after graduation. A simple ceremony with close friends and family. I wore a simple white dress and Leo wore a suit that actually fit. No grand pronouncements, no lingering shadows, just us and our love. We moved to a new city, started new careers. I became a financial analyst and Leo became a professor of mathematics. We bought a small apartment, filled it with books and laughter, and built a life. Years later, I heard news about Mark through a mutual acquaintance. He had remarried a woman who, according to the acquaintance, kept him on a tight leash. He never rose above lieutenant colonel. He never seemed truly happy. I felt nothing, no sadness, no anger, no regret, just nothing. Clara, I heard, had drifted from man to man, never finding the true love she craved. She never contacted me, and I never sought her out. One warm summer evening, Leo and I were sitting on our balcony watching the sunset. He took my hand, his fingers intertwining with mine. "You know," he said, his voice soft, "I'm really glad you missed that train." I smiled, leaning. I leaned my head against his shoulder. "Me too, Leo. Me too." In that moment, watching the colors paint the sky, I knew I had made the right choice. I had chosen a life of my own, a life filled with love, laughter, and a quiet, enduring happiness. The past was the past, and my future was bright.